What's up, guys? My name is Witty, and we are back on Palworld today to talk about some tips and tricks for better building design for both interior and exterior of all of your builds. You don't want to end up having just a gigantic wooden square box or anything that's so simple. And it's always better to make things look good, and you can do it pretty easily in this game. And there are a lot of things that people have already found that look nice, and there are a lot of things that maybe not everyone has seen. So we're going to try and talk about all of those things in one video, and without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually not so much a design tip or anything like that, rather just a way you can keep items safe if you play on a server of random people or maybe friends of yours that you don't want to take some things. Now, obviously, all of the chests in the game do have security settings where you can add a code to them. That's not necessary for this. However, I would recommend doing it anyways, just in case. You never know. Let's just pretend that this is a house here. This is a build that we have. It's more finished. I didn't feel like actually finishing it for such a quick little tip, but let's just pretend we have a full house here. And all of your storage is located in this house somewhere, but you want to hide a particular chest with all your valuables. So, hypothetically speaking, if we were to grab onto this wood here and just walk our way through the steps and wind up in a room where you could perhaps build a wooden chest and keep all of your valuables. And if you ever needed to escape, run up to a wall and simply crawl back out. Now, for obvious reasons, you don't want to let anyone see you climbing out of a staircase because then it's not such a secret place, but it is a very good place if you just want to have some kind of secret room in your base, you like that element, or if you're trying to hide something because you don't want some sticky fingers to find their way to your things. Now, let's move on to some actual design tips because this is just something I felt like I had to include. So, first things first, in my opinion, don't be afraid to put ivy all over the place. Honestly, it's a really cool thing that they added this to the game, and just sprinkling ivy in different places on the exterior and even the interior walls just adds a little bit of depth and makes things feel more homey. It makes things look better, feel better, and it honestly is just really neat looking. I would say the same about these wall lights here, the wall candles. As long as you have enough electricity running through your base, these things look great in almost any place. And you can use them as a light source, of course, so at nighttime, it's not pitch black running around your area. Moving forward a few steps here, as you can see, barrels, which you can find in the storage tab here when you are building, can actually be used as pillars. Now, there are a lot of things in this game that can be used as pillars. I do believe you can actually use the containers as well, and you can even use the wooden boxes down here in the same way. I think the barrels look the cleanest because of the metal rings around them. It even almost provides some kind of extra structural support in some way. It feels really nice. They look really good. I don't think I executed them very well here. I think that I should have had them on the edges, but nevertheless, I can change that at a later time. The point is, these look really good and they function nicely as pillars. Now, right beside that, as you can see, everyone has already talked about this. We can use the wooden benches as a railing for a porch, as well as an overhang or anything else. They are a very good railing. However, we are going to talk about one that I think is slightly better in just a second. Don't forget, you should also be throwing plants around anywhere you can, especially if you're using ivy to make things look cooler, because the plants just blend in with that even better. I use them here because I couldn't fit two wooden benches in either direction, and the plants just fill the space really well and make it still look good. As you can see, I do maintain the same strategy when decorating the outside. I have ivy seemingly randomly scattered around the edges. Now onto the, in my opinion, best way to create railings and pillars in Palworld. These guys right here look the best. They can get much closer together than the benches can. And honestly, I think it is the cleanest thing that I have found to make pillars and railings in this game. Bar none. It's not even close. You go to furniture and it will be on the third page. It is the antique braided basket. And these things function so well. You can throw them almost perfectly side by side. There's like a pixel in between them. As you can see here, you almost can't tell, especially from a distance, that there's even a gap there. And it's honestly the same when you stack them on top of each other, which is also incredibly easy to line up and incredibly easy to do. And they're lined up just like that. Now, I do believe it is 4 high. It is indeed, from the roof to the roof on the second level. The foundation to a roof is a little bit taller, if I'm not mistaken. So you might have a tiny gap there. However, I do still think that this is the cleanest way to have railings and pillars in this game. And I probably intend on mimicking it to the bottom and removing the barrels entirely, but we'll see how it goes. Another huge recommendation I would have is to throw some barrels and dispensers and crates and trash bags, the usual stuff you would see, you know, at a house. Some rugs, throw those around where they make sense. These flower gardens, I would actually recommend to have more than just one of them. I think that if I was to put a second one here instead of these barrels, that it would look just as good. And I could even put maybe 1 or 2 more on this side and have the appearance of just a garden out front of my house. Using these other items here also has that same effect. I would argue the wagon here should probably be closer to the rocks, but that's okay. Don't forget that there are a lot of storage options in the game as well, not just the wooden chests. I mean, you can use these guys here, the antique cabinets, to store stuff. You could even use these things on the wall here, and there's a lot of different storage options that I feel not enough people take advantage of. And honestly, you can see even in this room, so I have a little medicine area over here, and my medicine cabinet, since there's only 3 real different types of medicine, my medicine cabinet has all 3 of those types just in here ready to go. And when we make some or find some as loot, we just throw them in there to stack them up in case we ever need them. Another thing that you'll commonly see around my base is that I will fill in empty holes in the ivy that I've thrown around with a clock or, you know, some candles, even a cabinet, all kinds of fun stuff just thrown randomly. And this kind of gives more of a homey / medieval feel where all the space is just occupied. Another huge thing that I've noticed that I haven't seen anyone else do is take advantage of the signs when you're playing multiplayer. Now, I'm not on a server, but I do host a game where oftentimes a couple of my friends will join and they have their own progress here. I haven't played this alone. It is a multiplayer game at the end of the day. And because of that, I wanted to label our chests so people know where things go. So for example, this chest will only have skill fruits in it. This chest will only have schematics in it. It's all self-explanatory, and I think that is really good if you're playing multiplayer, but it could be used in single player all the same. If you have trouble remembering where things are, or you just like organization, all you have to do is, wherever applicable, place down a sign. We will go ahead and have our Anubis finish this stuff out for us. And then place down your chest. And as you can see, once you center it, you can back into it a little bit. And right about there, we place our chest. And now we have a sign inside of a chest. Now this side would be against the wall, so you wouldn't see it poking out, obviously. And if you run all the way up to the chest from an angle, you can change the text. Here we'll just put example. I'd like to hit enter once after this to raise the text a little bit. And now we have a chest with whatever we want to put in there. Another tip that's not so much important, but just personal preference, take up all the empty space in your base. As you can see upstairs in our main building here, this is really just where our beds are. But as you can see, I have thrown a mirror up, I've thrown ivy around, I have a lamp, a little side table for the beds, and it's kind of mirrored over here without the mirror, which is funny enough. I guess ultimately what I'm trying to say is take advantage of all this empty space, because if I just had nothing around here, some people, few of them, may think this looks okay, but honestly, I'd rather just put something there, even if it's just chests for storage or whatever the case may be. Use the resources that we have at our fingertips and just throw something in there. I do feel obliged to mention this one on the off chance that somehow you haven't heard about it already. You can use wooden benches to make staircases. They can be curved staircases, they can be regular staircases. It's personal preference, but both are possible. All you have to do is place them in a row like this, and you can walk up them. Now, this can look better than a gigantic staircase like this, but in my opinion, it just looks messy unless you're really, really careful about how you place them. And winding staircases are great and all, but like I said, this is going to look extremely messy, in my opinion. If you like it, it's here, it's possible, definitely do it. With that being said, I think that's about all I have time for today. I definitely have a lot more tips at my disposal that I just, for some reason, can't think of right now, but I'm sure they'll come to me. Maybe there will be a sequel to this video. It's hard to say. Hopefully, though, you saw something that you haven't seen 20 other places. I know a couple of these things have been talked about on Reddit and even in other videos, but I felt obliged to include them just on the off chance that people have different viewerships. You never know. Anyways, I'm going to hop out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.